Everyone. Thank you all for coming out today. Today I'm going to talk to you about a programming language called Noor that I created while I was at the Research Center. Again, my name is Ahmed Abdalla. So to understand why I created this language, first you need to understand that I'm from Sudan, a country where the first language or the main language is Arabic. And I moved to the US when I was 9 years old. And I realized that I would have never learned to program if I didn't learn English when I came here. But in the year 2013, I came across a post on Hacker News by a programmer here in Brooklyn called Ramzi Nasser, and he created an Arabic programming language called Qalb. And Qalb means heart, and it's a functional Lisp-based programming language. And I thought that, wow, this is so cool. It'd be great if kids around the Arab world had a language they could use to learn programming. Because to learn to program in English, it requires a lot of English proficiency. You have to understand docs and tutorials and stack traces. It's not like a minimal amount of English you need to know to get started in programming. And this is at the same time when everybody's jumping onto Code Academy for kids and all these things. Let's get everybody learning to program. And where I'm from in Sudan, to learn to program or to have this amount of English fluency requires a lot of privilege. You have to be wealthy to go to international schools or to go to get a really good education in English. And so I thought it'd be a great experiment to take a language like this and make it more mainstream. But my one thing about Ramzi Nasser's Qalb is that, and this is my ignorance at the time, is that it's a functional Lisp-based programming language. And I'm like, this is great, but it'd be nice if it was imperative, algo-based. And thankfully, that was an ignorance I had at the time about functional Lisp-based programming language. But thankfully for this ignorance, because it led me to start this project. So Noor is an imperative algo-based programming language that I created specifically thinking about myself. If I was a little kid, if I was a high schooler or middle schooler, what would be natural for me to learn. And this is a sample program in Noor. I think you can all tell what this program does. But in case you can't, we'll walk through it anyways. And so the first line in this program says لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ فِي 1 to 100, which basically means that for each thing in the range of 1 to 100. And then the second line is take the number in the for loop and then check if it's get the mod 3 value of it. And so there's a function invocation and assignment expression. And then the third line is just print the number in the for loop. And then the third thing is check if the mod 3 is equal to 0. If it is, it's clearly divisible by 3. Print that out. Print fizz. If it's divisible by 5, print buzz. And then the final parts to this program here are the keywords bus, which in Arabic means the end or the end. And in this program, I make a call to a function here on the second line. And that function is just get the mod with 3 of the number. And this is the function in Noor. And so the function starts off with instruct a worker, and I try to make it this childlike, silly language because I want it to be more natural feeling. And then you give the function name, then you give the function arguments that it will take, and then you say to do, because if I was a little kid, I kind of want to understand it as, tell something to do these things for me. And then you have the function body, and in this case, I take the argument that was passed in, I mod it with 3, and I store the result in a variable called dal, or d, and then I return that. And so that was a fizzbuzz in Noor. And I won't be able to get into the internals of how I created Noor, but I'll just tell you that I used a tool called peg.js, which creates a compiler for you. And it's a really nice tool if you want to create your own small DSL. You should check it out. But one thing that sort of came into question while I was working on this is, how do I go about choosing keywords? And Arabic is a big language. It's, there's a lot of variety to it. And there's classical Arabic, there's modern standard Arabic, and there's my own dialect of Arabic. And if you don't understand it, the tree is kind of something like this, and it's an approximation. It's that you have classical Arabic, which is really old Arabic dating back to the 7th century. And then you have dialectic Arabic, which is what people use on a day-to-day basis. This is what me and my mom talk with. And then you have modern standard Arabic. This is what official court documents are in. This is what news is in, Al Jazeera. They want to reach a wide audience, so they'll use this very formal Arabic that's not particular to anybody. But for Noor, I especially used my Sudanese dialect because I was thinking about myself. It's what would really get me started on this? And just to show you a map of all these dialects and how they vary. I'm from Sudan, and so this is the area where my dialect is really prevalent. But there's different dialects across North Africa and the Middle East. And when Noor got public, some people really liked the fact that I used my own dialect. Some people were thought that I was Egyptian because they're trying to triangulate where I'm from based on a few key words, and that's kind of hard to do. Some people I thought I was from like the Gulf, and I'm not from the Gulf. And some people really didn't like it. Some people were like, "Oh, it'd be great if it would have used like real Arabic." But that's okay. I knew they were coming, so. But my goal, or the reason I intentionally did this anyways, is because if you go to like the Middle East and you listen to an Egyptian TV show, it's in the Egyptian Arabic dialect. If you listen to a Syrian song, it's in the Syrian dialect. So all these like media and artists like export their own dialect. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to export my dialect here. And but if the general question is like, is a programming language supposed to be like this generic tool, like a core document that should follow strict guidelines, or does a programming language reflect the aesthetics of the creators behind it? And the thing is, like, whatever language you're using, there's no like right or wrong about the syntax. It's reflecting whatever the people in the language community behind it chose to do. But also during this experience, I created Noor using on the browser using Peg.js. And initially, I wanted to do it in Python, and I was going to make it as a desktop app. And when I created, I downloaded Kivy, which is a GUI framework in Python, and I started, I created my editor, and I started typing into my keyboard, and the Arabic text was showing up all broken. I was like, what the heck is going on? Maybe I'm missing a plugin. Maybe I need to download something. Something just didn't make sense. And that's when I really came to learn about how Arabic text is rendered on your computer. It's not handled by the operating system or whatever. Like the framework that you're using has to handle it for you. So I went to a fun deep dive about how all that works, and I'll just show you how that is. So when a user types Arabic, or when you encounter Arabic text in a file, you have to run it through an algorithm known as the BiDi algorithm, which is a Unicode bidirectionality algorithm. Then you have to reshape that text, and then you finally get nice-looking Arabic. As for how the Unicode bidirectionality algorithm works, so Arabic is a right-to-left language, so the Unicode BiDi algorithm specifies a base direction or a line direction, and this is like this bottom long red line here specifies the direction that the text will flow in when it's rendered as the user is typing it. And then for every single word, it has its own direction. So this line right here says Bang Bang Con 2018 in New York City. And the terms Bang Bang Con obviously flow from right to left because they're Arabic keywords. But in Arabic, we read numbers from left to right. So the visual cursor, as the user is typing in a number, has to start flowing from the left to the right. Then when the user types an Arabic word again, the visual cursor needs to jump back to the end of the line and start flowing from right to left. And if they type an English word, it starts to flow again from left to right. So I was about to like implement my own Arabic text editor, but it was just like, it was out of scope because there's a lot of rules to handling BiDi. But it was good to learn. And then the other thing that you have to do when handling Arabic text is that you have to reshape it. So Arabic letters don't take the same form as like they do in English. In Arabic, letters have to be connected, and they take a different shape depending on where they're at in the word. So in this top line, I have the Arabic letter H, space H. And the way this actually gets displayed is like so below. So letter H looks like this when it's in the initial state, looks like this when it's in the middle state, and then it has a different look in the final state, and you have to reshape it. And there's more to reshaping than just simply like looking up the letter and where it belongs. There's also these things known as ligatures. Certain Arabic ligatures are mandatory, so if you see two letters, you don't just look up the initial and final forms, but you have to look up, there's a precedence where the ligature has to be shown. And there's more to Arabic text reshaping and BiDi, but this is just sort of like some of the nuances I came across when it comes to rendering Arabic text. But if you do that all correctly, you finally get to see nice flowing Arabic text that you can read from right to left. And when it comes to BiDi, it's also an algorithm that applies to Hebrew, Yiddish, Urdu, Persian, and a host of other Arabic or a host of other right to left languages. But when I was doing research for Noor, I was trying to look at what did old mathematicians use in their math works? There's a lot of programming ties to math, in some really close ways. And I was trying to think what did Al-Khwarizmi, who's the guy who created algebra, or he's known a lot for his for algebra, what did he use in his textbooks? And I came across the term shay, which means thing, which is a term I use in everyday Arabic even now. And in my FizzBuzz program, this term is right here. It's the value in the for loop that I iterate with. And it turns out Shay is how we get the letter X in math. Like, if you went to school here for mathematics, it's always like, find X, or y is X squared plus X equal 1, plus 1. It turns out it comes from this like word Shay way back when. So this was like, a fun random fact I'll leave y'all with. But thank you for your time. That's all I have.